Hello there. It's your girl Valerie Mason Chase, and we have with us this evening
Me. Cookie Man.
the Cookie Man. So welcome. Anyone who's watching live or later, welcome to another episode of Marriage Beyond the Breach. And so, Cookie Man.
This is the last one for a couple of months. Gotta let them know.
I will let them know at the end.
Okay.
And it's not.
Oh, okay.
So, what are we talking about this evening, honey?
Is this it up here?
Yes, that's it.
I don't have to put my glasses on, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yep, do it anyway.
Apology and accountability.
Apology and accountability.
Double A, not triple A. Double A.
So, anywho, and so anyone who's watching now or later, thank you for watching. And those who may be watching now or later, I would appreciate if you would subscribe to the YouTube channel, Marriage Beyond the Breach YouTube channel. You can also find us on Facebook. You could find Marriage Beyond the Breach on Instagram as well. So we're talking about this subject, apology versus accountability. And here's why. Because in every relationship, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a committed relationship, whatever it might be, there will undoubtedly be a time when there's something that you may have to apologize to your partner for. Hey, Jackie.
You sure will, baby.
Something you have to apologize to your partner for and seek forgiveness for. You know, there was a movie back in the 70s with Ali McGraw. I believe the title was Love Story. And the catchphrase of that movie was, love means never having to say you're sorry. Let me tell you something. That's a crock of bull. It's a crock of bull. It's a crock of bull. Okay? Because if unless you get together today and you break up week after next, if you are in a relationship, a marriage or committed relationship for any length of time, there will be, not maybe, not might be, there will be times when either you or your partner, and usually both, well, hey, Nicole, will need to apologize and ask forgiveness for something. A lot of times it's unintentional. Sometimes it is intentional, but either way, there will be times when in a relationship when you'll have to. So that line about love means never having to say you're sorry, nah.
You use an example of you get together kind of relationship, and unless you break up in a week's time, what are you trying to say? In a week's time, you have to apologize?
No, what I'm saying is in a short-lived relationship, it's less likely that there may be something that you have to apologize for. Okay. But if you're together for a long period of time, you're going to do things to each other. You're going to hurt each other, sometimes unintentionally and sometimes intentionally. So let's talk about what is the fundamental difference between an apology and accountability. What does it say, baby? Read the paper. Apology and apology.
Hold on now. Why is my paper different?
Because you messed your paper up. I had them in the right order, and I tell you,
just give us something to do.
I can't take this, man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
See, he already has to apologize. So,
apology. An apology is an expression of regret or remorse for the action or behavior that has caused harm or offense. It typically involves acknowledging the mistake and expressing sorrow for the impact it had on the affected party.
When you talk about accountability, though, accountability goes a little bit further than that. And that's also expressing regret. And it involves taking full responsibility for one's actions, not just for their actions, but also for the consequences of those actions. So an apology is an important first step. And whenever you're addressing a mistake and you're trying to mend the relationship in some way, but accountability, it's more likely to ensure that the mistakes lead to growth and to positive change. So the two should go hand in hand. Hey, Bianca!
Oh my goodness,
good
Bianca!
To see you.
Joe.
So good to see you, sweetie.
But
and thank you for watching. Go ahead, baby.
But every little mistake doesn't require an apology. I'll leave the talk. Well, no, I'll leave the toilet seat up. I'd apologize.
Yeah, because I done filled my behind inside the toilet if you leave it up.
So okay.
Yeah.
But every little mistake you think requires an apology? I don't know.
What do you mean by little mistake? What's a little mistake?
I left the lights on.
Mm-hmm.
I left the water running. You don't have to apologize for every little mistake because those things don't impact the relationship. You're talking about things that might impact the person, the relationship. Okay,
right, and things that result in harm or offense.
Okay,
that's more. Those things absolutely require an apology. So we're going to talk about what are some of the elements of a genuine and effective apology. First of all, I just want to put this caveat out there.
Okay.
When I'm counseling couples and there's something that has occurred that one or either of them are in a position for needing to apologize, the steps are, from my perspective, I apologize or I'm sorry for, and say exactly what the thing is. You must have felt blah, blah, blah. Will you forgive me?
Yeah, but can you in all earnest tell that person what they felt?
No, you cannot. But you're not telling them.
Okay.
What you're saying is, listen, if I do something to you that's very egregious, I can imagine what that must feel like to you.
Right.
You know, you could feel hurt. You could feel betrayed. You probably felt disrespected in some way. I can say that as part of my apology. But I believe at the end of every apology is the phrase, will you forgive me? And that's just my perspective. And since I'm here, y'all looking at me, I'm going to give y'all my perspective. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I would say yes. Do it at the end of it. I mean, you want that forgiveness.
You want the forgiveness.
And to get the acknowledgement, you have to ask for it. Now, the person might not be willing to give it to you at such time.
There you go.
Because there's several layers and steps we have to get to before they might say, you know what?
I'm ready.
I'm ready to forgive.
Absolutely.
All you can do is ask. When they're ready is when they're ready.
Absolutely. And with the couples that I counsel, the one who's apologizing and the other one, I let them know these are the possible options to the question, will you forgive me? Yes, I will forgive you. No, I won't forgive you. Or I'm not ready. I need more time. And I haven't yet heard anyone say when I'm doing that particular exercise, no. It's either yes, I'll forgive you, or I need more time.
Right.
Because some things you do need more time to process. The more hurtful the thing is, if it was something that was ongoing, if it was repeat behavior, you absolutely need more time to process through that before you can forgive. And there's something you just said about you have to ask for forgiveness in order to receive it. Not always. Because I believe in something
I think about it,
unilateral forgiveness. And we're going to talk some more about that later on. And those of you who are watching, just put something in the chat. Let me know where you are. And what's been your experience with apology and accountability? When you hear those words, what does it mean to you? Do you think an apology alone is okay? And if not, why not? And if so, why? I want to hear from you guys. So just chime in whenever you feel like you have something to add. Just simply put it in the chat. So the elements of a genuine and effective apology. First, you have to acknowledge the wrongdoing. And a genuine apology will begin acknowledging the specific action or the behavior that caused the harm. Just a general, I'm sorry. Or, we know what I hate? What's the two words that I hate?
I don't know.
You know, when somebody called themselves apologize, they don't say I'm sorry. They say what?
Oh, I'm good.
No.
What?
My bad.
Oh, okay.
I hate that phrase, okay? Because it doesn't say anything. What does my bad mean?
No, but see,
nothing.
No, you old school. That's why you don't understand what it means. It has a genuine meaning.
But what does it mean? Okay. Here's the thing. That's why I believe in clear, succinct, explicit communication. Because my bad might mean one thing to me and might be something entirely different to you. So that's why a genuine apology will acknowledge the specific behavior. I'm sorry I stayed out till 6 o'clock in the morning without calling you. You must have been worried. You must have been very upset. Going forward, well, I'm going to make sure either I don't keep my behind out and come home.
Well, see, that's why.
Or I'm going to call you.
That's why I'm not going to call home and stay out to 6 because you're going to tell me to come home.
No. I'm speaking now in the voice of the one apologizing.
I know. Why would I say I'm sorry I didn't call you before? Because you're gonna tell me I already know. If I'm staying out to 6, I just better stay out to 6. Because if I call you and say, hey, listen, I ain't gonna be home before 6, you're gonna say, no, you can bring your ass home now.
No, it depends. It depends. Because you could
it depends. Okay.
You could be hanging out with Gary. You could be in Brooklyn,
overnight. Okay.
In New York with the McCains. But if you are local.
Right.
My mama said the only thing open after 2 a.m. is the Wawa and a woman's legs. So if it's after 2 a.m. and you're local, then I expect you to be home. But if you're hanging out in New York, you're hanging out with Gary, you're hanging out with Melvin and them, you don't need to call me for that unless
that's true.
Unless you have previously said now I expect to be home by 11.
Right, of course.
And then something happens, then you can say, give me a call or text, hey babe, it looks like I'm gonna be out a little bit later.
So is that easy? If I say, babe, I'm gonna be home at 11, then I text you and say, you know what? I ain't gonna be home tomorrow. You good with that?
Well, if you're hanging out with your brothers in New York,
you won't say why?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I'm just messing with you.
But here's the thing.
I know.
I shouldn't have to ask why.
Well, true that. I'm
that should be part of the phone call.
True.
And not a text message part of the phone call.
Of course. I'll give you that.
So Nicole said, most times the person is only sorry they got caught. You were so right. You are so right. You got to tell why you're sorry. My sister Bianca, and again, Bianca, thank you. It's hard to apologize specifically when you think you're always right. My husband thinks he's always right. So I apologize, even if I know that I'm not in the wrong at the moment. That's correct. When someone thinks they're right all the time, it may be hard for them to apologize. But here's the thing. You can communicate how you feel by what they did. Babe, I know you think it's okay for you to stay out till 6 o'clock in the morning every Friday or every Saturday. But I just want you to know that, I'm feeling alone. I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling insecure. I'm feeling scared. I feel all those things when you are out. So it may not feel like it's wrong to you, but I'm letting you know that I don't like it. I'm uncomfortable when you do that. And here's why. Our partner still may not apologize.
And at that moment, that's
right. True. But see, that's their responsibility. Our responsibility is to clearly communicate to our partner how we are feeling and why we are feeling that way and what we need from them. Go ahead, babe.
And a comment like that is more than likely to elicit an apology the way you delivered it to me.
The way you delivered it.
Still might not get it then.
You may not.
But if I'm a person who thinks I'm always right or don't want to apologize, and you come at me hard like you want to fight, you definitely ain't getting it then.
Well, I get it, but in the words of Mama, 2 wrongs don't make a right.
We got it, but we're just talking about human emotions.
Even if your partner does not approach you in a preferred manner, sometimes you sometimes it's helpful to see beyond the delivery and hear what they're saying and recognize that it's the hurt that is resulting in them speaking that way. It's coming out as anger, but underneath they're hurt.
Right.
You're right, I'm going to be hurt if you stay out till 6 o'clock.
And I've had to adjust to that because of things, your delivery coming from a point of anger. And I'm hearing that and I'm responding to that. And then I might be alone somewhere and I say, you know what? It wasn't that she was coming at me wrong. She's hurt.
Right.
You know what? You need to go back and address that.
Yes.
And apologize for that.
And you know something?
And that works. Sometimes you let them know.
Babe, I got to give you credit. You have
definitely.
I'll pat you on the back. I'm going to pat you with both hands. You have really grown in that area in terms of if we have a negative interaction and you have time to process, you will come back and you say, you know, babe, I was wrong when I reacted so and so, or I could have handled it differently or something to that effect. So sometimes it does require a moment of processing, a few moments, or maybe a few hours. But the key is to always clearly communicate. That's what Nicole said. When we know better, y'all do better. Yes, clear communication is key. And so I get sometimes we may not feel comfortable sharing our feelings from a place of vulnerability. But if that's the case, then from my perspective, there's something else going on that needs to be addressed in the relationship. Because if I'm not comfortable sharing with complete vulnerability with my cookie man, how I'm feeling, what hurts me, what upsets me, what annoys me, any of that, there's something wrong. And we need to talk about that, and vice versa. And actually, we did have conversations about that, because there were times when Lovey, you did not feel comfortable in sharing your feelings. And we had to have several conversations about that, because, you know, your girl wasn't always receptive. I'll put it like that. Okay, that's a kind way of putting it, right? I wasn't always receptive. And he had to tell me, you know, Val, sometimes I feel like I can't say so and so and so and so to you. What do you mean you can't say so and so to me? You can say whatever you want. And that demeanor, that tone right there is not healthy for creating a safe environment, because safety is key in a committed relationship, not just physical safety. That emotional safety is so important, so very important, especially I think even more so for men than for women, because a lot of times we can share regardless of whatever else is going on. But with men, very often, they definitely need a safe space, because it's not, from my perspective, I think sometimes it's more challenging for men, especially manly men. And that's what you is, baby. You're a manly man.
Yeah, tell me, baby. but I understand that.
To be vulnerable.
Because, you know, to show that vulnerability, sometimes a man, and even myself, sometimes I feel like I'm weakened. I'm weak.
Yeah.
Because I won't say cry, because there's certain things I cry about, don't give a darn.
Right.
But to express my feelings or to talk, I always feel like it's coming from a point of not as strong as I was feeling. And I would always anticipate what I thought you might say or how you would respond. And that caused me not to even want to say anything.
Yeah. Yeah. But just FYI, it takes a great deal more strength in a man to be vulnerable and to open up. It don't take nothing to shut down. So what did our son say? Most men are only vulnerable when we have to be. That's what John O said. And Nicole said, platforms like this really help us to be better. Great topic for growth and maturity. Oh, thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. And see, I think sometimes that's what men, especially manly men, need to see, is another manly man being vulnerable and willing to open up and to be expressive and share their feelings and say, I'm sorry. Rather than just getting their behind on their shoulders and not opening up, because that is what helps to build and enhance and maintain that emotional connection. And that emotional connection piece is very vitally important in a committed relationship, because you could love somebody and not feel emotionally connected to them. You could have that emotional distance that I visualize it as a wall that each of you had built up between you and your partner's on one side and you're on the other side, and you might love each other to death, but without being able to bridge that, to cross that emotional bridge and tear down those walls so that you can remain emotionally connected, you could stay together for the rest of your life, but it's not going to be very fulfilling. It won't feel very happy. It won't feel joyful, and it won't feel as if you're getting your needs met. So I want to get back to elements of a genuine and effective apology. We talked about acknowledging the wrongdoing. Another is expressing regret. I'm sorry, baby.
It's my turn to read. Can I read that one?
Oh, sure. Go ahead, baby.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Thank you. You're sorry. You're sorry. Okay. See, we're holding topic. Sorry. Okay,
sorry.
No problem. Expressing regret. Expressing regret or remorse demonstrates that the person genuinely feels sorry for their actions and the impact it had on the affected party. It conveys empathy. And understanding of the hurt cause.
Yes. I cannot tell you how many times in couples counseling, one partner will say, he just doesn't get it, or she just doesn't get it. And what they mean is their partner doesn't understand the full impact of what their actions or behaviors did.
But I guess I started to say, but can we ever truly understand the impact? And then as I thought about that, of course we can. How? Communication.
Absolutely.
I can't assume to understand the depth, but you talking to me, I'll understand. I won't feel it, but I'll understand.
But you understand it. But you have to be able to listen.
Right.
You got to listen with your ears and your heart wide open in order to hear what your partner is saying. And an apology, you got to take responsibility. Taking a responsibility for one's actions without, and this is key, without making excuses or shifting blame. Take responsibility, because if you say, I love this when a couple say this, yeah, I'm sorry, but he did so and so and so. I'm sorry, but she said this first, or he said that first. No, that is not a real and authentic apology, because you are apologizing for your behavior. Bringing up something that your partner did or didn't do, that's not the time to talk about that in the midst of a genuine apology. You don't bring up what they did. You don't say but or anything like that. Go ahead.
What I have found difficult at times in that moment you're talking about, because something is done, for me it has flashbacks of stuff you might have done, but we didn't get to talk about, and that was on me, because I didn't talk about. Now I feel like the door's open, and I want to bring, I want to bring everything up in there,
right?
And a lot of times it's really to deflect.
That's all it is. It's a deflect. What do you mean? Sometimes that's all it is. I call that hijacking the conversation. Frank, let me tell you something. He got a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and 2 PhDs. In hijacking the conversation. I wouldn't let him do it. Nope. And the way you say, listen, babe, I hear you, and I have no problem talking about that, but not right now. Let's finish this conversation that we're talking about, and then I'll be more than happy for us to go further, and you can express what you want to say. Okay, but you don't hijack the conversation. And then he said, well, I didn't think about it until you brought something up. Well, if you were not thinking about it to the point where you did not initiate a conversation about it, then how much did it really bother you? How much did it really bother you? Because if it bothers you enough, you're going to say something about it. You're going to bring it up. You're not going to wait until I bring something to the table, and now you're going to try to hijack my conversation. No, it ain't going down like that. Ain't going down like that. Sometimes, when appropriate, you can give and provide an honest explanation of why the mistake occurred. However, this must never come across as justifying the behavior. It must never come across as justifying the behavior. You know, babe, I was over in Nicole's house, and we were hanging out, and we were laughing and talking, and we were drinking our bottles of wine and whatnot. Next thing you know, I fell asleep, and when I woke up, it was light outside. I'm sorry, babe. I am so sorry. I'm calling right now because I just woke up, and I might say, Nicole, say something so he know I'm here with you.
But you might have on 3-way, so you ain't really there.
We know that on 3, right? But yeah, It should never come across as if you're justifying the behavior, but sometimes you might need to explain, or your partner may ask for an explanation. Listen, this next one here, mm, mm, mm. That's the doozy right there.
Number 4. Oh, number
5. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Commitment to change.
Mm-hmm.
A sincere apology includes a commitment to change and an outline of the steps the person will take to prevent the mistake from happening. I'm sure it should have been again. Okay.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me make so there.
Okay.
That's because the way I printed it out.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, that commitment to change is huge. And not just saying, okay, babe, I'm going to change. I'm going to do it differently going forward. What I ask my couples to do is, okay, how are you going to change this? What are you going to put in place to decrease the likelihood that this particular thing won't happen again? Because just saying, oh, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, I'm different, I'm blah, blah, blah. What steps are you going to take to ensure? Because sometimes we forget that step that is key. Because unless you make certain changes, you're almost guaranteeing that what you did is going to happen again. What are you going to do differently? Specific steps. This reassures the affected person the behavior is unlikely to be repeated. Not saying that it won't be repeated, but it can help to give your partner some comfort and say, you know what, babe, going forward, when I go over and I'm hanging out with Nicole in New Jersey, I'll only have 2 glasses of wine. I won't have the whole bottle. Or if I'm feeling like I've had too much to drink, I'll call an Uber. I won't lay down and take a nap at Nicole's. I'll just grab an Uber and I'll let you know. Or, babe, I'll call you and ask you to come get me.
Yeah, as long as that communication is happening, it's a better understanding. Because I'm more likely to say, no, I don't want you getting in an Uber or not drunk and tipsy and whatever, to stay there and come home in the morning. You
might say that, but the point is, we are having this conversation because I'm apologizing to you for having done it before, and I'm expressing to you what steps I'm going to take and what I'm going to do differently going forward. Because it's all, from my perspective, we can talk about what happened, but I believe in spending less time there and more time looking ahead on what we're going to do differently, what changes we're going to make, what barriers or boundaries are we going to put in place to prevent it from happening again. Right? Okay. Number 6.
Excuse me, stomach was flaring up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Making amends. Got to put the glasses on. Boy, I tell you, when you was young, you didn't have to worry about nothing. Now I have on contacts, but I still need these too.
Because your contacts are for distance.
I know. Listen, whatever. What a shame. Making amends. Offering to make amends or repair the harm done, if possible, shows a proactive approach to resolving the issues and demonstrating genuine remorse.
Yeah. How can you make amends? Is it possible to make amends for the harm that was done? That's something you and your partner have to discuss and have a conversation about. How can I make this right? Oh man, I took $500 out of our account because I wanted to play the Powerball Mega Ball. I'm pissed. How you gonna make amends? Okay, well, babe, I'm going to work overtime for the next month. I'm going to work all the overtime I can. I'm going to replace that money back, all $500 of it, on top of what your ordinary household financial responsibilities are. That's an example of how you can make amends.
Yeah, I can see you being pissed, unless I got the winning ticket.
Oh, Lord.
You ain't going to be pissed too long. I don't need to make amends then. I'll admit, hey, baby.
No, that is the amends.
Right, we rich.
But if you don't hit, you gotta make amends. Also, another element of a genuine and effective apology is timeliness. Apologize promptly. Don't delay. No unnecessary delays. that shows that you recognize the importance of addressing the issue and that you value the relationship. Don't wait. I mean, you know you've done something harmful or hurtful or damaging or offensive to your partner. Don't wait 2 or 3 days. Don't wait a week. Apologize ASAP, because that will help your partner see that you really do know that what you did was harmful to the individual and to the relationship.
But how effective is that apology if the person is in that moment they are not hearing anything you have to say?
Which one? The one you're apologizing
right.
to? Mm-hmm. That's their right.
No, I know it's their right to be angry.
No. But if they don't hear, see, you're responsible for your part.
Right. Okay.
Your part is to apologize,
and
you have nothing to do with how your partner receives it. That's their part.
So, based with that, I might have. Well, depending on what happened, you might have to apologize more than once. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
But at that moment, your anger at all, I'm getting the feedback with my apologies, anger, and all kind of name calling. I still might have to come back.
Oh, you will. You
and
definitely
re-apologize.
Apologize again
because you didn't receive it.
I didn't receive it. And if you ask me at that moment, will you forgive me? I'm gonna say no. Matter of fact, I'm gonna say hell no. I'm not forgiving you. No way, no how. So then you come back later. When I do that exercise with couples that I'm counseling, I'll write down specifically what the person who's apologizing, what they're apologizing for, and what the receiver's response was. And if it is no, or I need more time, I make note of that. And after maybe 4 or 5 or 6 more sessions, depending upon the frequency, I'll revisit those things. And I'll have the apologizer say again, I did blah, blah, blah. You must have felt blee, blee, blee. I am so sorry. Will you forgive me? We'll go through that. And we will go through that as many times as it takes for the one who was offended to say, yes, I forgive you, to all of to whatever those things were. Also, listening and validating.
Okay.
After apologizing, it's important to listen to the affected person's response and to validate their feelings. This shows respect and empathy. I cannot say that enough. Validate, 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 validate. You don't have to agree with how your partner feels in order to validate them. If they say, I am so upset with you. I can't believe that you did this. I don't want anything to do with you right now. You don't say, well, I did it because so-and-so. Well, babe, I get it. I understand how you are really hurt by this. And again, I am really sorry. Babe, if they say whatever, babe, you know what? I forget. I get it. I understand how you might call me a worthless SOB because that's the way I behave. So I understand you seeing me that way. And I am really sorry. That's how you validate. You're not agreeing necessarily that you're a worthless SOB, but you are validating that is how your partner feels in that moment. Because validation has the potential of disarming your partner and diffusing what could be a volatile situation. Because if I call you a worthless SOB and you say to me, babe,
you're right.
You are so right. What I did, I see how you might call me that.
Then you're stuck because you don't know what the whole shit is like.
Exactly.
I didn't expect him to say that. I don't know what to say now.
So now what I'm going to say? I'm going to say, just suck my teeth, roll my eyes.
Find something else to
say. Exactly. So how do you distinguish a heartfelt apology from a superficial one? Because sometimes apologies can be superficial.
Okay.
So what do you say
first?
Well,
heartfelt, as we say, clearly identifies the specific action and the impact, which we talked about. Superficial is one of those things you like. You say you use vague language, you avoid details. You don't say what you're apologizing for, or I'm sorry if. And I think people.
No. Well, I hate that.
But
can I say hate again?
Well, you can say what you want.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know how often. I don't think this is done deliberate.
It is.
You think it's done?
I believe it's done deliberate.
If you were hurt.
Because the person's hurt.
Well, yeah, because all kinds of names.
The person's hurt.
That's
so
true.
You don't say I'm sorry if you say I'm sorry that.
Right.
I hurt you.
Right.
I'm sorry that I offended you. I'm sorry that I betrayed you. I'm sorry that I let you down. You don't say, I'm sorry if. You know daggone well you done it. Okay, that's kind of a way. That is perhaps an unconscious way of trying to absolve yourself of any guilt or wrongdoing by saying, I'm sorry if. Another way to distinguish a heartfelt apology from a superficial one: ownership versus deflection. And a heartfelt apology takes full responsibility. And for example, I was wrong for doing XYZ. A superficial apology deflects or minimizes responsibility. Like I said before, I'm sorry, but. And what's that? What our brother Gary always says: everything after the but is
bullshit.
Right. You don't say I'm sorry, but, because everything after the but is BS. And what's another distinction between a heartfelt apology and a superficial one?
Ownership and deflection. The hardship.
No, I did that. I did ownership and deflection.
Oh, I'm sorry. Empathy and indifference. Heartfelt shows genuine concern for the affected party's feelings. Superficial lacks emotional connection, and seems indifference. Example: sorry you feel that way. It's almost like the same
sorry
thing.
You feel that. Yeah.
Like saying sorry, but.
Sorry you feel that way. That's not a real apology. Saying I'm sorry you feel that way.
No,
as opposed to I'm sorry I did something to you that resulted in you feeling that way.
Situation like that, you just want to get it out there, move on.
Another distinction is commitment versus lip service. And a heartfelt apology includes a commitment to change and prevent recurrence. We talked about that. Superficial, it lacks follow-through or meaningful action to rectify the behavior. The best apology is
action.
Change the behavior.
Well, that's
action.
Okay.
The best apology is change behavior. My glasses are fogging up because I'm hot. I got the fan on me and I'm still sweating.
I feel like I'm in an igloo. Fan on, air conditioner on.
Yeah.
I need my hoodie.
And he wears his hoodie
and my blanket
regularly.
It's cold in here.
He sit up on the couch with a hoodie on his head, underneath a heavy wool blanket. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there, hot, glasses fogging up like this, with the central AC on and the fan on me. Hey, Nene, how you doing, baby? Another difference between a heartfelt apology and a superficial one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Consistency versus repetition. All right, going back to glasses. It's my man Coney, I forget his name, on PTI, the white guy. He always got to go to his glasses when you read it. You take them off.
PTI.
Coney Hijai. It's the thing I watch on ESPN.
PTI.
It's PTI. It's a show I watch before.
Oh, pardon the interruption. Right. Oh, okay.
So he takes his glasses off because he just want to look nice and stuff. But then he got to go. He always say, I got to go to the glasses because I got to read. Got to go to the glasses. Okay. Consistency versus repetition. Heartfelt demonstrates a consistent behavior and change over time, and that could be a struggle because that change. But sometimes behaviors have been done for a very long time. Yeah, and then the change is going to require a long time. A lot of time. Hopefully, not as long as the behaviors, because we'd be in our grave by then. Superficial. Go ahead. But, oh, hold on. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, baby. Go ahead. Read that. I'll put in Nicole's comments. Superficial apologizes repeatedly for the same behavior without change. Oh, okay. So Nicole said she feels your pain when she's my roommate whenever we travel together. She said her flannel PJs. In hot Texas and Israel. That's right. And it was burning up in both places. And Nicole had her flannel pajamas on, buried underneath the blanket, and I'm just laying on top of the covers and barely anything on. That's right, Nicole. But you know, my sister, you love me, I love you, so we make do. We accommodate each other's differences in temperature. I love you, Nick. So I want to go to this part. I want to skip this because we're already 40 minutes in. Yeah, only got 20 left. I want to talk about the influence of accountability. God have mercy, Jesus. It's game time, baby.
Have to be cool. That's right. So we're going to talk about the influence of accountability on reconciliation when there's been a break in the relationship and you're hoping to reconcile. So what accountability can do is it's a foundation for rebuilding relationships. Accountability lays the foundation for rebuilding damaged relationships. It shows that the wrongdoer is willing to put in the effort. I'm going to say that again. The wrongdoer is willing to put in the effort to restore the relationship, which is essential for reconciliation. The wrongdoer has got to be willing to do the work. You can't just say, I'm sorry, and that's it, and sit there like a bump on a log. Go ahead.
We're guilty for that. We do that because that's easy. It's easy to get those words out of there. But then when you look ahead and you realize the steps that are waiting for you, it's a challenge. But when you want to restore it, you got to keep it moving.
Hey, Hammy.
Oh, that's my son. Okay.
Francis Chase. Okay. Yeah. That's our baby boy.
Okay.
So, another influence of accountability on reconciliation. What does it do?
Restore mutual respect. Taking responsibility for one's action helps restore mutual respect, which is critical for any healthy relationship. It shows that both parties are valued and their feelings and experiences are taken seriously.
Yes, both parties are valued. Because the wrongdoer needs respect as well. Their position is valid, maybe not as much as the one who was hurt and abused. But you cannot totally dismiss the other individual, even the one who is apologizing, who's done the wrong, who's done the bad, who hurt the other individual. So another influence that accountability has on reconciliation, it creates a path forward. It helps create a path forward by addressing the root causes of the conflict and implementing measures to prevent reoccurrence. What are the root causes? The way I pose this question to the couples I counsel is, what led to the marriage being vulnerable to, let's say, an affair? What led to it? Something led to it. I envision a marriage being inside of four walls that are protecting it. One or more of those walls were weakened in some area, which allows something from the outside to come in. What was that? So sometimes you need to talk about that. Not in the beginning. Not in the beginning, because in the beginning, it'll sound like you're blaming the other partner. But when you have gone through the process of let's say there was an affair. You've gone through the process of affair recovery. Then you go through the process of marriage recovery. And that's the step during which you address what weakened the walls that protect the relationship.
I mean, I understand that, but I'm asking myself, or you're just saying, it could take such a long time to get to the root cause.
Yeah.
And because you still haven't addressed the root cause, it could cause other problems. I'm not saying a repeat affair, but again, if you're not addressing that root cause, something else happens. And now you got to address that. And you got to recover from that.
That's possible. However, if the offender is really fully committed to reconciliation, restoration, and getting beyond that affair recovery step, he or she, they got to put on their big boy drawers or their big girl panties, because a lot of the responsibility is going to fall on them. There's no other way around it. I can't put it any other way. There's no way around it. You've got to be in that position to do that. And you're going to you got to have broad shoulders and a strong back, because you're going to take a beating in the beginning. If you are committed to restoration, reconciliation, and having the relationship work, the offender is going to be in that position until such time as we can move from that phase to the next phase. Something else accountability does for reconciliation is
encouraging cooperation. Accountability encourages a collaborative approach to resolving issues where both parties work together to heal and move forward. This cooperation fosters a stronger and more resilient relationship.
Yes, and both parties, again, because even if, let's say, there's been some betrayal in the relationship, and it is one partner's responsibility to apologize and talk about steps going forward, what they're going to do. If the offended or hurt or betrayed party has made a decision to remain in the relationship, at some point they must be open to receiving from their partner who offended them. Because if you're never, ever, 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 and that's it and that's all, then, and you're going to just beat up on the person for the next several years, that's unfair. That's unfair. So at some point you have to make a decision. Okay, I know I'm right now, I'm really hurt. I'm not feeling him. I'm not feeling her. I don't want anything to do with them. But at some point, I'm telling myself at some point, I know I can get to the other side of this where we can start working through this again. But if you're just going to beat up on a person for the rest of your life, then it's not fair to that person. It's not fair to yourself. It's not fair to your children if you have children in the home, because they're going to witness all of the chaos and whatnot. So there's work to be done for both individuals, the offended party and the offender. So I want to talk about now what can potentially happen if there is forgiveness without true accountability. Let's say you decide to forgive your partner, but there really hasn't been any accountability. What can possibly happen? Well, for one, it could impede healing. It can impede healing for the individual that was offended. It could impede healing for the relationship. The affected party may feel that their pain has not been fully acknowledged or addressed. This can lead to lingering and ongoing resentment and mistrust. That's why that accountability piece is so important. So, and also about risk of repetition. We talked about that without accountability. And superficial forgiveness. And what's superficial forgiveness, baby?
Okay. I mean, I could kind of...
You might as well just keep your thing on.
I could kind of see it, but I don't want to miss a word of it. So, forgiveness without accountability may be superficial or forced rather than genuine. The affected party may feel pressure to forgive without feeling truly ready or resolve.
Absolutely. And you're so right. E. Nicole says the healing and restoration has to start at some point. Yes, it does. It has to start at some point. You cannot be pissed off, mad, and angry for the duration of your relationship, for the duration of your marriage. That's not going to work. It's not healthy. It's hurtful. It's harmful. And it's just not a good place to be in.
No, I was going to say, carrying that weight around has to affect you emotionally and physically.
Oh, of course it does. Definitely. See, what we don't realize very often is that when we have that anger and resentment inside of us with no outlet for it, it does result in physical symptoms that we experience. Whether, you have palpitations, you can have accelerated heartbeat, you can have what feels like indigestion. You could have a bubble gut. You could break out in the skin rash sometimes when we're carrying around all of that stuff. So that's why we need those two parts, apology and accountability. Now, there may be some reasons why an individual may jump to forgiveness without accountability. One might be that in some cases, the affected or offended person may feel as if they need to forgive in order to facilitate their personal growth or an emotional release without seeing true accountability. This might because the individual feels that they want to free themselves from any negative emotions. It's more about freeing themselves from negative emotions than it is about reconciliation. It's not about reconciliation, because forgiveness and reconciliation don't always go hand in hand. You could forgive someone even when they've been accountable, and you still may not want to reconcile with them. That's entirely possible. But sometimes the individual may forgive without reconciliation, without accountability, because they're not interested in reconciliation. They need to just release themselves from that negative emotion and move on. I need your glasses again, honey.
My turn. All
right. Another reason why someone may forgive without accountability.
Spiritual or psychological belief. Physiological belief. Did I get that right?
Philosophical.
Philosophical belief. Okay. Some individuals may forgive based on their spiritual or
philosophical.
Now I'm going to be tongue-tied. That word.
Philosophical.
Beliefs, which emphasizes forgiveness regardless of the other person's actions. This can provide a sense of peace and closure, even if accountability is lacking.
Yes. Some may forgive. Okay, those of us who are believers, we may rely upon the scriptures that says we have to forgive others as Christ has forgiven us. And we may extend what some refer to as cheap forgiveness. That means you just jump to forgiving when there's been no real processing between you and your partner of the events that took place. There's some who refer to that as cheap forgiveness. And we say, okay, well, Jesus forgave me. I got to forgive. I got to forgive. I got to forgive. Eventually, perhaps. But you don't necessarily want to just jump to it right away, because you may need time to process all of this stuff, even if it's the stuff that's going on inside of you. Why am I so angry? Why do I feel like I want to get a hammer and just bust him upside the head? You may have to deal with that. I had feelings like that sometimes, baby. You don't know. Yeah. There were times when I could just envision myself standing over Frank with a hammer and just say, you know what? Okay, I got to plead the blood of Jesus because I don't want to go to jail.
Oh, I had a bazooka for your ass. I was waiting.
So anywho, yeah. And another reason that someone may forgive without accountability, on certain situations, they might need to co-parent, or if it's someone at work. And, there's not about reconciliation, and it's not about any of those things. But for the greater good, I'm just going to forgive, and I'm going to move on, even if there's not full accountability. So I think the bottom line of what we said is apology and accountability go hand in hand. And from my perspective, a full apology is, you know what, babe? I was so wrong when I did so-and-so. Be specific. I am so sorry. You must have felt blah, blah, blah. Will you forgive me? And keep in mind, your partner has 3 possible responses. Yes, I'll forgive you. No, I won't forgive you. Or I'm not ready. We're kind of almost at the top of the hour, but I just want to talk quickly about something. Because, Gary Chapman, who did the 5 love languages, he also has the 5 apology languages. And it's a quiz that you can take. And it essentially outlines the way in which you would prefer to receive an apology. I took that quiz. I'm going to tell you first the 5 apology languages. One is a planned change or a genuine repentance. You want to see your partner genuinely change or actually repent. That's all repenting is turn around and doing things differently. Making restitution is another apology language. Requesting forgiveness is an apology language. Expressing regret and accepting responsibility. When I took the apology language quiz, based on that assessment, my preferred apology language is change. Genuine repentance, wanting to see change in, I have to say the cookie man because he's my only partner. I ain't gotten another one. But That's true. I ain't got another one.
Okay.
At least not now. Only I want to see change, planned change, what it's going to look like. So I'm encouraging you guys who are listening now or listening later, those of you who are in a marriage or committed relationship, or these can also apply to any relationship, friendship, families, co-workers, working relationships, about apology and accountability, because you will be in a position. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Be in a position where you will both need to be forgiven and be asked for forgiveness. So if you have, when you offend someone or when you hurt someone or do any of those things, just remember, clear, articulate exactly what it is you're apologizing for. No, well, I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for all I did. Be very, very specific, be very, very clear, and always end it with asking for forgiveness. You have any last words, babe?
Deuces. No, that was pretty good.
So anyway, next week we won't be here because it's Father's Day, and we'll just be coming back in town. So we won't be here next Sunday, but the Sunday after, I have a guest on who actually requested to come on and talk about gender dysphoria, and that individual wants to share their own story and their own relationship regarding gender dysphoria. You don't want to miss it. That's going to be in 2 weeks. We have a very, very special guest. So again, I want to thank you all who are watching now or later. And if you haven't already done so, please share these broadcasts on YouTube so that others can see them. If you haven't already done so, I would love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel and pass it along and encourage it. My pastor Darius Daniel said, some things are for us, some food is for us to eat, and other is for us to share. So even if something you hear doesn't apply to you personally, perhaps you know someone who does, and I would love it if you would share it. And again, I love you all. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Come back. We're going to be talking about gender dysphoria. Be blessed, everyone.